Najee Dorsey's mural, Many Voices, One Nation, Our Community. It's one of those pieces of art that invites you to be part of the story. I think the best art is that art that invites you, that pulls you in, that not only tells a story, but you become a part of the story. You become mesmerized by it. You can't move away. You can't help but look at it because you become a part of it. And that's what Najee Dorsey's Many Voices, One Nation, Our Community does. It's a mural or a piece of art that speaks back to the collage work of Ramir Bearden. It calls back to life the ancestral presence of the multimedia, mixed media artist Radcliffe Bailey. It has the beauty and purity and aesthetics of Charles White. It has the depth and color palette of Jacob Lawrence, the beautiful sensibilities and artistic critical design and kind of nuances of Lorna Simpson. It reminds me of Faith, of a quilt like Faith Ringgold. It tells a story. You know, we're taught to read images or to read work from left to right and from front to back. But this work, it's immersive. You are immersed in the work. So while you try to read it left to right and front to back, it's almost as if it becomes a 360 and surrounds you. When you see in the forefront of this work, Harriet Tubman. And not the Harriet that we've come to know, not the Harriet that's been portrayed in images. And what I like most about the image of Harriet Tubman standing forefront in the image with her hand wrapped around a rifle, and at the end of that rifle being the flag, and at the end of that flag being Du Bois with writing over that, and then Muhammad Ali in the red, black, and green shorts. But the beauty of this Harriet Tubman piece is not just her face and the way he's framed her body and the way he's beautifully portrayed her hair, but it's her hand. It's the detail in which he has paid attention to her hand. Her hand is on the rifle, her thumb rests atop of the rifle, her middle fingers holding the rifle, and her two other fingers laid there bare. But what you see is the detail in her hand. And at the end of that hand, she's holding this rifle. And at the end of that rifle, there's this American flag. And over that American flag, he's positioned the greatest artist of all time, in my mind. That being Dr. W. B. Du Bois, who understood the power of images, the power of art. Du Bois said the first place in which you must learn was the beauty of God's nature. Then he talked about the great works of art that would inform our scholarship. It was Du Bois who talked about creating what he called data portraits. It was Du Bois who understood the power of the images. He used the image in the Paris World Fair in 1900, and then throughout his work in his time of the crisis, even when he wrote the Philadelphia Negro, the first sociologist to visually show us his data. And as Du Bois holds the text over the flag, we then bump into Muhammad Ali. Gloves, head protected, but shorts, red, black, and green. And behind him, the words, "Sorry for the inconvenience, we're trying to change the world." But then as you read the image and you go deep into the mural, you see the depth of its historical connection as the green beauty of ships that carried our ancestors who were destined for slavery. That peculiar institution that's then linked to the new Jim Crow, which then is linked to the work of Michelle Alexander. She talks about the new Jim Crow, that being mass incarceration. He makes that connection in this work. But while that's in the background, the foreground is that fight for freedom. And then you go to the left of the image, at the left of the mural, and that's that sister going back to get folk. Because what Harriet Tubman did was she always went back and freed those, because she understood her freedom was dynamically connected to the freedom of all of our people. And that's part of what this image, what this mural does. It calls us to be connected, to know our story, to tell our story, to be our story, to rewrite our story. This work calls us to do the work. It calls us to have hope. That calls us to do work that's rooted in the faith of the past of our ancestors who fought the good fight, who kept the faith. and finished their leg of the journey. And now we are called to tell our story, to paint our picture, to create our mural. All that is in this work, while harking back to the ancestors, while bringing to life those artists we now live and see today. Najee Dorsey has done us a great favor. He's called us to be a part of this work, to be a part of this story, to do the work, and to be the work. This is a piece of art that I can look at for hours, because if I look back to the sister behind Harriet Tubman, and then I see these images of our ancestors who were part of war and struggle and freedom. You know, as I look down, I'm looking at the mural here on my iPad, and I am enthralled. I am engaged. I am invigorated. I love art. I've gone literally all over the world engaging art. And nothing has moved me more than this piece. And I've been everywhere. There's not a major museum in this world that I've not been at that has significant holdings of Africans or African Americans' art. And this piece speaks to me like no other, especially in this time when our story is attempted to be silenced, where our history is being rewritten and trying to be wiped out. This story calls us to the task to tell our story, to be our story, and to live our story. I can't thank Najee Dorsey. I can't thank the Woodson Museum enough for commissioning this work. This is the work for times like this, but this is a work that will be eternal. It will speak from everlasting to everlasting. I can't say enough about Najee Dorsey's many voices, one nation, our community. I'm Dr. Ralph Basui Watkins, the scholar with the camera, saying go and make something beautiful.